Hi everybody, welcome back to Sticks and Stones Wood Carving, and today, as I promised you, we're going to take this little piece of basswood here. I'm going to clean it up a little bit with the sanding drum, and we're going to try and make the whole thing with the sanding drum. I cut the sides down with the chainsaw and got the nasty stuff off the sides. It was a rotten piece out in the box outside in the tent. Now I'm going to figure out we'll get a sanding drum, and I'm even going to make this very simple. It's going to be so simple, I'm not even going to have a 60 grit sanding drum. All I have is 120s here, so it's really better with 60 grit to do something like this. So, but I'll show you how easy it is to actually just, put a quick face on this little guy, and we'll make a Santa out of him, okay? So, with that said, here we go. I'm going to clean this off a little bit. And like I said, if you have a 60 grit sanding drum for your Dremel, use that and it'll carve a lot better. This guy's pretty chopped up and stuff, so I'm just using this 120, and I'm going to smooth them over first, and then we can put a little Santa face on them with a marker or something, and we'll carve them out with this sanding drum and paint them up. And it doesn't take too much with a sanding drum. I'm using a Dremel 3000, okay, so it's not a real powerful Dremel even, and this isn't a super nice polished piece of wood. Like I said, it's rough cut with the chainsaw, and it's old. It's been sitting around out there. Even smells kind of funky as I'm doing this. But that's okay. We'll get a Santa out of them, and we're not going to spend too much time on them, but I'll try to show you, quick, easy ways to make a quick, fast Santa. And there'll be one more way that you can just quick submit a carving. Yeah, that should carve okay, even though it's not a 60 grit. So if all you have is a 120 grit sanding drum, that'll work too for this, because that's what I'm using. Alright, so I'm going to get my marker here after I clean the front off, and let's draw two simple eyebrows here, just like this. We'll put a nice easy face on them, and you'll see a different look that the sanding drum actually gives it when you carve this guy out. I'm not even going to make them that deep. You just take your time, go around it. We'll put a little simple nose on them. We're not going to go too deep, but we'll go deep enough and bury the face inside like he's kind of like wearing a cloak or a robe or something like that. We'll make him nice and easy. I'm just going to draw a line around like this, and this is where we're going to put the face, and the whole face is going to be inside. We're not going to have it outside. Alright, we're not making arms or anything. We're tucking the beard down. Or tucking under the beard, I mean. We're going to swoop a mustache up like that. So come from under the nose there and just go up inside. Think cheeks when you're making that top part of the mustache, because he's going to have, two little cheeks. So a nice simple little mustache like that. And so he looks kind of happy, He is Santa. And we can come up to the top of the nose here and go across like that and make two eyebrows. And we're not going to give him eyes. We're just going to paint him kind of, we're going to give him some colors and just put kind of some slots there and a couple of character lines, and he'll look pretty neat, and it'll be nice and easy, and you won't have to mess with eyes or anything. Unless we want to, Okay. So that's pretty easy. I'm going to take my sanding drum inside my Dremel. This should come with your Dremel, and if you can always buy one at the hardware store, or if you don't have one, it takes an 1/8 inch shank, and we're just going to carve out these eyebrows here using the edge of our sanding drum. Okay, one thing nice about using the sanding drum is you can take care of all the fuzzies right away, and basswood is fuzzy when you're carving it, especially if you're using, cut all bits or something. So if you use a sanding drum to do the bigger lines, you don't get any of that fuzz, which is nice. It actually smooths it down as it carves. But it is a little clunky, and you gotta figure out different ways to maneuver it sometimes. You want to make sure you take your time. You don't want to pop your sanding drum off. Sometimes if you're really digging, they can split and go flying, but they do fly the opposite direction. They don't fly towards you, they fly the other way when they pop, just from the rotation of it. It's been my experience anyway. So make sure you're wearing eye protection just in case you pop a sanding drum. And definitely have a mask on. You guys know, if you come to my lives or you see me, usually I have a neckerchief on, right? I always have a bandana around my neck just because when I'm doing stuff like this, that's what I'm wearing. Even though I'm using my little homemade dust collector here with my shop vac. Alright, so that's around my face right now. But I'm not getting much of the fine dust at all. Actually, I'm not getting any. You know, so usually I pull that up if it's getting too bad. And I'll wear that around my face, my nose, and my mouth. Sometimes I don't wear it at all if the dust collector's taking care of it. But if you're using basswood, you definitely don't want to breathe this fine dust. I mean, it gets into your lungs. That's the dangerous dust. I mean, it's super fine, and it's kind of papery, and basswood can hurt your lungs, you know, with this fine dust if you breathe in too much of it, that's for sure. So definitely put a mask on and take care of your lungs. Now I'm just outlining everything here. See? You see it's a neat effect you start getting with this? Actually, I don't think I have my dust mask on just yet. I'm blowing the carving off. But if it does get bad, I put it on is what I mean. Usually, I'm not a cowboy. Was the whole point of me telling you that, because a lot of people, oh, you cowboy? No, I usually have that around my neck. Because I carve a lot of stupid stuff, and I do use power, and I use the chainsaw a lot. Whenever I get into a situation where I just can't take the dust or I'm starting to breathe it, I'll pull that up over my nose and my mouth. So, don't mind me. I say stupid stuff. I don't have it on at the moment, but you should. Because my dust collector's taking care of everything for me at the moment. It's like in the live the other day I was talking about, or last night, I was telling you about the eagle that I made. That was my favorite carving that I made to this day. You know, and the guy came in, he had offered me, pulled out his checkbook and pulled it off my wall. I think in the chat, I said $45, $4,500. It was $3,500. So I'm sorry, I got to correct that, because I rewatched that live video when we were talking, and I said $4,500 that I sold, but it wasn't. It was $3,500, and that was years ago. But that was good enough for me to want it. I pulled it right off the wall. So I just wanted to correct that, because that was incorrect. And I get talking, and in the heat of the moment, we're yakking and stuff, and I say something, and then I see myself say it, and I go, oh, wait a minute, that was wrong. That was actually $3,500, not $4,500 that I had sold it for. Yeah, I wish all my carvings did that. But that also was on my bench for over a year, you know. And that was a long time ago. So you see how you just, all I'm doing is going around the lines and cutting them out, guys. I'm just still going under the mustache, making sure that's cut out. I'm going around the whole carving with just a sanding drum. A Santa drum, yeah, that's what we should call this, right? And the deeper you go, the more he stands out. Now you can keep reinforcing that line. See how we're burying his face in? The more I go on the sides, the more he's going to stick out, and the more he's going to bury into that wood. Now I like to take my knife and make some hard lines, especially with basswood. You know, maybe I'll quick fast forward through a little bit of that. But you don't have to. I mean, if I get my knife out, because I have a bad habit of doing that, you know, if I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. You can make this whole thing with just a sanding drum. You don't have to pick up any other bit, you know. You can put your beard hair in with it, your mustache hair. You make his little lip. But I like to get hand tools afterwards. I mean, we could go nuts, but I'm going to try and keep this as simple as possible. And that's what I'm doing here. I mean, basically, you don't even have to give him beard hair or mustache hair if you don't want to. You could paint him just the way he is and use paint to make him neat. I mean, he's not like a super smooth down piece of wood either, you know. So let's take our marker here again. And we'll just reinforce where we want to put those cheeks and make sure that his mustache is looking mustachy. Rob, if you're watching this, just Carve Rob, I should send this stuff for you to paint. Because I don't look forward to painting it either. I could be making more carving videos by the time I have to paint this stuff. But it's Christmas, we gotta paint, and then I gotta show you guys a couple easy ways to just dress them up a little bit. So we gotta at least do 1 or 2 painting videos, right? Alright, so I just reinforced his lip with the marker and his mustache so I don't lose my lines. And if you want to get those cheeks, you know, to bury in so the mustache is kind of standing out above the cheeks, you can come from the top down and cut those cheeks with your sanding drum. You just turn the carving upside down, you know. Let me see, you know, just kind of like this. Okay. So you could do that and then smooth them back over and just blend everything together. And they'll, you know, they'll blend into the mustache a little bit better. See how it's kind of popping out now a little bit. And just try to get it in, you know, keep that mustache really curling up. And a little bit of separation between the cheek and the mustache, you know. And the paint will lay in there nice. Now the cheeks are kind of below the mustache a little bit. You can also make them the other way where the cheeks are, you know, they're above the mustache and really standing out. Kind of go under the eyes and pull down a little bit with the sanding drum. Give yourself a little bit of room if you did want to put eyes in him. And I just keep going around and reinforcing that beard, digging it in. Make sure you're getting the lip in there. And the lip and other parts of the Santa we can reinforce with our knife. Like I said, we can clean everything up. If I want to put grooves in, I'll pull down and make a couple of gullies, and then I'll run the side of the sanding drum through to make beard hair. Just like this. And you might want to turn it. Best with the grain always switches. So, you know, at a certain point it's not cutting, you have to flip it around because the grain changed on you, and then it will cut again. Okay, so if you notice that, and it's your first time carving basswood, it definitely does that. You're going to have to, lawwoods do that really, sooner or later you're going to have to turn it upside down and cut the other way for it to start cutting again. Let's see, can I brush this off here? You see it now, you could paint him just like that, really, you know. But we're going to mess with him a little bit more and see where we want to put more detail. Well, let's see, he needs some mustache lines. He doesn't have any eyebrow lines yet. I mean, but you can do the whole thing with the sanding drum. Maybe I'll get a diamond bit out later. They're pretty cheap. You guys could buy a pack of those at Harbor Freight or something for a couple bucks, and you could use that and really reinforce these lines. And can also clean it up with diamond bits. Work pretty good on basswood to clean it up. You just don't want to dig too hard. Just let it do its job, you know. I'm going to come back up here and go back down. Make sure he's set inside good. You know, if he's dug up a little bit, just always just go over your lines again. And I'm not really digging too hard here. I'm really not. I'm going slow. Smoothing over things that we cut already with it. Making sure I like the cheeks and making sure I can separate that mustache from the beard, and whatever you have to do, you know, you just keep re-going over it. And like I said, this is a 120 grit sanding drum. It's not an 80 or 60 grit. The 60 grit just rips right through this and you carve it fast. 60 grit and Dremel, you know, even with this little Dremel here, or Dremel 200, you just rip right through the basswood with it and it'll carve fine. This one is more for kind of finishing and sanding down to a lighter finish. It's not really what I would use to carve, but it's all I got at the moment without running to the store and picking up a couple of sanding drums just to do a video. So I'm just using the 120 here. That's why I'll go over it a little bit more than I usually would. And I'm just smoothing them out as I go. But you can see he doesn't have eyes. but he's got a kind of a cool look. You can put a couple divots on the sides over here, you know, for some character. I'm not going to make him too fancy. Like I said, we're just using our sanding drum, put a line there and a line there, you paint him, and he'll look good just the way he is. He doesn't need ice. Most of the stuff I'm doing is just smoothing over, because we've already carved that simple design. I mean, 5 minutes ago, really, our design was in. I'm just shaping a little bit and getting his nose to stand out a little bit more, lining up under his eyes. And like I said, I'll probably grab my knife and try to deepen some lines around him. But you don't really have to. You could go right to painting once you're done with the sanding drum. But I'll show that part. I'll show both. I'll even get a diamond bit out and show you, you know, a couple of things you could do with that. You know, just in case you want to take it a little further. We'll do a little bit of knife work on them and a little bit of another bit. But the whole purpose here is to make them with a sanding drum and paint them up. See how you can put your mustache lines in? So if that's the only tool you got, don't stress about it, because you can do the whole thing with just this. I mean, I could stop right here, sand them a little bit, or not sand them. Just run over lightly with this sanding drum I do have and just say, okay, that's good, and paint him just the way he is. I would like to clean him up a little bit more in the back and sand him down. He's rough, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because we got videos to make and we want to make a bunch of different projects, and you know, that takes time. But I can sit there and play with this. I'm actually playing with it too much now. I'd blast it out, be done, and make a bunch of them if I had a bunch of chunks of wood and get to painting, because the painting actually takes more time than the carving. So there we go. So, you know, maybe I'll mess with them a little bit more and see, what do we need? Eyebrow lines. I guess we could do that with a diamond bit afterwards. But I'm going to take my knife here, for those that like to play with your knife afterwards, and I'm just going to clean them up a little bit with the knife. And like I said, you don't have to. You could paint him just the way he is already. And he's done with the sanding drum. Alright. I'm going to, you know, maybe make his nose stand out a little bit more or something, which I could have done while I had the sanding drum in my hand, but I don't want to cut off much more detail because of the way I have him carved now. So I'll just go around with a knife, make a couple of stop cuts, take some wood out, get a little more shadow when we paint them. And I don't know if I can get the whole painting video in on this video or not. I'm going to try and get this video on today, so I might be halfway done painting. We'll see what happens. I don't want it to be too long. But I can throw a second part up just to finish painting them. We'll put some color on them before the video's over, though, so you get the idea where we're going with it. So all I'm doing is really going around where we dug his face in and making those lines a little deeper with my knife. And then when I paint him, you know, I'll be able to put some black in there a little bit, and he'll have some nice shading. But, like I said, even if you don't do this with your knife, you could still do it with paint. So don't stress even if you don't have a knife. I mean, you're done with your sanding drum. And you can always add eyebrows with the sanding drum too. I'm probably going to go to a diamond bit after this, and I'll show you guys how it works on the basswood, and you can clean it up, and we'll use that to put his eyebrows in and reinforce some of the lines too. So then you have 3 different ways you can mess with this, and you can make them really nice if you want. I'm just kind of blasting through it and trying to give you ideas and different techniques you can do once you have them carved with your sanding drum. Or think of it as roughing them out with your sanding drum, and then take it to a whole other level. You can carve eyes, get your gouges out, do whatever you want. I'm just showing you a quick, easy way to do one. And I'm just taking a little bit more wood out of spots that we already did do with the sanding drum, just to reinforce some of the lines and make them look a little bit more, you know, dug in. Get a little shadow or 2 in there. And put a slit there and a slit there under his eyes. And I'll take some wood out there. Again, totally up to you. You don't have to. Or you could do it with the sanding drum too. I know I'm a long time knife carver, so if I don't use my knife a little bit on a carving, I feel like I didn't carve it. Something. But again, he's very simple. You can see how simple this guy is. I mean, I talked through most of the video, and you can just watch what we did. Because it really does not take long to grab a little piece of wood like this and just draw a simple face. But look at the effect the sanding drum just digging with that has. I mean, he's got a cool little face already, and he's really not detailed. He's got a very simple nose, very simple mustache, and just kind of a rounded beard. And a triangular piece of wood. So, you know, it's not really anything that anybody can't do. Anybody should be able to pick up a sanding drum and make this guy. Or make your own. Just use the same techniques. 2 eyebrows, a nose, a mustache, and a round beard. Just dig it all in with your sanding drum and then get carving. I'm just cleaning up his mouth and stuff. I like to get that lip, to make the lip stand out, you would want to cut a corner and a corner like that, and then kind of take that chip out and try to get that lip to go up and underneath the mustache a little. Again, you don't have to be super meticulous with something simple like this, but for the guys that want to play with their knives, you know, that's all I'm doing there. I'm trying to clean them up and get some of that marker line off. And his mouth's a little bit off, so I'm just trying to shape it a little better with my knife while it's in my hand. Take a little bit of wood out here and there. Now, if you're just using the sanding drum, you could already be base coating him red, everything except the face and the beard. We're just going to paint red. Okay. Take a little bit more wood out under the nose here. I really didn't dig that nose in too much with the sanding drum. You could really go deep if you want. Totally up to you. So I'm using my knife, you know, to take a little bit more out, round off the nose a little bit, clean them up a little bit. Like I said, I'm not being too picky about it because we've got other videos to make. And we got to get painting some of this stuff. So that right there ought to be pretty good. Anything else? It'll look okay when we paint them. So what I'm going to do here, if you want to use another bit or you want to clean him up or you got fuzzies or whatever, this is just a diamond bit and it's kind of flame shaped. It's a smaller one. But I'm going to reinforce his cheeks. I'm not really carving much anything new. I'm just going around what we already have carved and cleaning up. Sometimes you'll have, especially with basswood, you'll have fuzzies in there you don't want. You might want to dig in underneath a little bit more and get a cleaner line. You can run this through the beard hair and deepen that some. But diamond bits work really good on basswood, so do ruby carving bits. And that'll polish it up and clean it. And since this is a flame-shaped bit, I can actually dig with it a little bit and actually get some eyebrows in. The hairs on his eyebrows. See how that works there? Now this side, I should probably turn it upside down and carve the other way. See how that's not carving quite well? It's amazing when you just switch an angle. So the one eyebrow is going to be a little bit funkier than the first one. The first one carved real nice, and I'm going to have to hold them upside down to get the other lines in. I'm just going around, touching up spots, cleaning spots up, and that's all with a diamond bit. You can use a ruby carver too. I might have to see how I can cut going up on the other side, but this side I have to kind of stay cutting down. The grain on this stuff just flips back and forth. So if it isn't cutting, turn it upside down and cut again. That'll usually work for you. We're going to put some lines through these lines with it. And we can really get up in the corners there to make that mustache stand out right here. And on the sides of the face. And it just cleans them up nice. So, like I said, that's something you can or can't do or don't have to do. he's pretty much ready to start painting. Okay. Now we could sand him up. You can clean him up with other tools, and we'll cover those in other videos. I'm going to grab some paint here. This right here, I don't want to make them bright red. I'm going to use this. And this is more like a barn red. Yeah, because I like my Santas to be more kind of maroonish barn red. I usually use barn red, and I don't even think this is a barn red. But it's definitely not a bright red. Okay, and it makes them look more old world type. I haven't really done a lot of sanding on this guy or anything. I'm just going to kind of blast the paint on and try to get through, you know, a lot of this video and give you an idea how we're going to at least start the painting. And then we'll decorate him in a quick little video later on in the next video, because this one's already almost a half an hour long. And what we'll do is we'll do the rolling pin too, because we're going to paint that up, and I'll show you a couple techniques to dress that up too. Now for right now, I'm just going to blast this on. We're going to cover everything that we can except for the face and the beard. And he'll look like a hooded Santa in a robe. We're not putting any arms or anything on him. So let's try to throw this paint on him quick. Try not to make a mess. I'm trying not to make a mess. I don't care if you make a mess. You can have a ball, you know. Mess it up all you want. Oh, man. Man, I was outside. I was doing this rolling pin at the same time. And I went out to the carving tent looking for my blow dryer because I left it out there. And the handle came off. I didn't check these handles because they just kind of screw on. I was holding it by the handle and it fell in the sawdust well. It's wet paint. So now I got to try and clean this up, and I'll show you how I paint this rolling pin at the same time we're doing this Santa, and I'm letting him dry. Go! Okay, so I gave this 2 quick coats. It's still a little wet. Yeah, it's wet. Ah, I hate painting. Where are you, Rob? Help! I'm having trouble today. But I gave it 2 quick coats. Let me get a paper towel here. And hit it with the blow dryer. I must have missed a spot, for crying out loud. Now I got it all over me. But I like the barn red type color. I don't like bright red on my Santas. I like to make them look more antiqued or old. And even though these are real simple, especially this guy here, I want to make them look at least a little fancy. So we're going to do that with a little bit of paint. So this is the color I'm using. It's I believe this is like a barn red. And I really don't have a flesh color. So I'm going to use this. Somebody gave me a pack of these paints, and I don't even know what color this is. But it's almost like a tan color. But we'll use that, and we'll try to maybe rosy it up and try and make it look like skin. But we're going to use that for the flesh and everything. So basically what you're going to do is base coat your Santa first. Try not to get it on the face like I did. I'm rushing trying to make the videos and stuff. But because sometimes that could be hard to cover up with flesh. And if that does happen, though, you can always just, believe it or not, I painted the whole thing black already. And then you could put flesh color over top of that. But when you're trying to put a lighter color over top of red, the red bleeds through. So that's kind of tough to do. So we'll see how this color right here works. And if it doesn't, I just might blacken his face and then put that color on. Then it'll stand out real good. But I'll show you a couple of quick little things we can do to dress him up and make him look a little more festive. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm back painting this Santa and the rolling pin. And I got the red on him, like I said. And now I got this tan-colored, I don't know what. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. But I'm hoping that it's going to cover up the red in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... Yeah, see, now you see how that's going to bleed through there? All right. So what we might have to do, why do I even have red on this now? There's red mixed in with this brush. No wonder it's coming out red. Well, his cheeks need to be a little rosy anyway, but let me wipe this down. I don't know how I got red in there. It must be wet in the paint tray yet. So I'm going to try and color his face with this, and if it doesn't cover, like I said, we might have to switch plans here. But we'll rosy his face up anyway. But usually you'd use a flesh color for this. I'm just kind of putting this on, and I'm not really going to worry too much about it. I don't know why there's red in there. I must have dipped somewhere. But I got red mixed in with my brush and everything else. But this is just a quickie to throw some paint on anyway. Because when you're painting stuff like this, you got to get a base down anyway. So I'm really not caring too much. I'm just going to show you guys how to get some paint on one of these little guys and dress them up a little bit for Christmas. As a matter of fact, just to get some paint on them, I just might do the whole beard and everything while this brush is in my hand. That way I won't have to worry about getting the base coat down, and when I do put other colors on, I already have a base, you know. So I'm just going to slop this stuff around. Cover everything. Not really being too meticulous here about anything. Maybe a second coat will cover that even. We'll see. If not, we can always fix stuff with other paint. All right. I already dropped my rolling pin in the sawdust. I'm just having a banner day. One thing about the challenge, though, if you guys want to do the challenge, like I said, all you need to do is make a quick Santa like this with a rolling, with a rolling pin. Man, I'm just slopping red everywhere. I think that paint in the dish is wet. I got red underneath that, so he'll have a little bit of red on him. That's okay. But as far as the challenge goes, you can grab your sanding drum and a stick, a piece of wood that you have laying around the shop, blast a quick Santa face on it like this. Give them a little bit of color, even just like this, and submit them, and you're in the contest. Oh, I do have to do an update on that. As far as those that are contributing, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. You're contributing. We are going to get a Dremel 4000, but I'm not getting your contributions, guys, because remember my account was hacked? Yeah, it was hacked a while ago, earlier this year, and I couldn't use my YouTube account or anything. And the PayPal address I gave you went to that old address. And now I can't get into the PayPal to get any of your contributions for those that did contribute. So if you would, and you wouldn't mind, can you X those out? I'm sorry, you know. But I definitely did not get them. They're not in the PayPal account. I can't access that email. I checked it afterwards. I didn't even think about it when I gave you it, because that is my PayPal address. So if you want to contribute, you're probably going to have to do it through the thanks button at the top of these videos. And those that did that, I did actually get it. Of course, YouTube takes a little bit of that, but that's okay. You know, we'll still come up with a Dremel. But if you sent it to my email and I have to have a password or something to access it, I can't get into that email. The Sticks and Stones Wood Carving at gmail.com. Sticks and Stones Carvings. That is, you know, my regular email now, but it's not my PayPal email. And my PayPal email is that old Gmail address, and that's where my account was hacked. So when YouTube shut that account down, the access to that Gmail is actually shut down now too. So just cancel those out. I'm sorry about that. I didn't even think about it because, you know, we're up and rolling on this account now. But yeah, I can't get into the email if you sent it directly to the email, and so that's null and void, and I can't get at it. So I'm sorry about that, guys. And I really appreciate it. We had a couple people come in and donate and send some money for the giveaway and for the Dremel. And it's, you know, the email that you sent me or whatever it was is sitting in that email account, and I can't access it. So if you want to do that over and do it a different way, if you check your email or your contribution, it's not picked up. I hope it's not picked up. It better not be, because I definitely don't have it. It's not there because I didn't access it. Okay, I can't. So let me know what's going on there. You know, if anybody did that, because that's sitting there in the email with a password or whatever, so I can get at it and I can't get in the email. Okay, so sorry about that, my bad. With everything going on, I forgot all about that. My account was hacked and my PayPal address is still working, but that email that my PayPal address goes to, I can't access that Gmail. Okay, that's why I made a new one and everything else, and that's why we're Sticks and Stones Carvings right now instead of Sticks and Stones Wood Carving at Gmail. So we'll have to figure out how else to do it, or we'll have to do it just through a super thanks and a super chat or whatever. All right, but moving on. This right here is the color we're going to do. It's actually covering. I'm going to blow dry that, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I just coated this whole thing because then when we put more colors on, we have a base coat, okay? And then we'll clean it up and we'll put some fancy decorations on. I'm going to do the same thing with this guy, and I'll fast forward through that, or I'll just do it and move to the next part and show you guys that. Okay? Okay. That's going to be in the next video. Excuse me. And we'll finish painting these two up, and I'll explain more about the PayPal thing and the contest. And we'll get all that straightened out, and I'll see you in the next one. So thanks for watching, guys.